begin our study today. Heavenly Father, sometime you will call us all home. You will call us to heaven, or you will call us to hell, but you will end our lives and bring us there. And we are here this morning, and we are here every day because we want to be ready for when you call us. Help us today to see the importance of being ready, not only for death at end of life, but at any stage of life. And the comfort that you give us, that even if we are poor in this life, even if we are oppressed in this life, even if we do not have the things we want in this life, the richness of life we have in eternity. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. I have a question for you about British humor this morning. Advertising Standard Authority of London. The Brits have a thing that evaluates all of their advertisements, and if you are illegal or misleading, they will actually pull it off the airwaves. So, kind of interesting. Advertising Standard Authority of London received hundreds of complaints in 2017 regarding a McDonald's ad. In the ad, a boy is talking with his mother about his dead father. The child is grieving, at a loss, and alone without his dad. To comfort the child, the mother gives him a McDonald's fish sandwich. The boy immediately brightens up that he, like his dad, loved McDonald's fish sandwiches. Why did the Brits complain about this ad?
They complain about everything. I don't know why.
Well, we do live in a world of complaining, that's true. But why do they complain about this ad and so many other ads? Christy?
Because McDonald's is an American product.
No, it's nothing to do with the Americanness of it. Then Brits don't have anything against fish, it seems. Why do they complain against this ad, Mary?
I think it's because it's an advertisement and a time when a child lost his father.
Yeah, we got this connection between ads and death.
Yeah, the idea that a fish sandwich can just take care of all your food. I don't know.
We're laughing because it's really not all that funny, and yet that's the ad, right? Fish sandwich will take care of your grief. Why do they complain about that? Well, question two, a college roommate often said to me, it's funny because it's true. Why is this ad funny? Even when it's really not all that funny, and yet there is a little giggle, there is a little laughter. Obviously, McDonald's thought enough to air an ad, spending millions of dollars. What is funny and yet also true about fish sandwiches and death? I don't think I've ever put that phrase together in one time.
I guess anybody that has any life whatsoever or don't sees that ad and when they say fish sandwiches cured everything, it is kind of funny because you know better.
Right, you know that.
You know better. Oh, and that's one of those things that you just like, really?
Right. And McDonald's, I think, knows better than fish sandwiches don't clear everything. Pete.
But when you're grieving, strange things can give you comfort. I mean, the honest things will remind you of someone who's passed. And it can be comforting.
McDonald's fish sandwich reminds me of my dad. And makes how much I like him, how much I miss him. There's one other component to this. Yes, it's a silly ad, and yes, there's some truth to it. But there's one other component, Erica.
Well, I don't know if I'm going along with your component.
Let's find out.
But I wouldn't necessarily say it's funny because it's true, but a lot of times people do handle grief with food.
Yes, there's a huge. I'm grieving, so I eat. I'm grieving, so I have ice cream, or I'm sad because, or I drink, or whatever. Right? There's this huge truth that to not deal with my grief, I will eat filet-o-fish sandwiches. So there's this idea that I don't want to talk about death. I don't want to think about grief. I'll just have a fish sandwich. In some ways, the Advertising Standard Authority of London is not asking me for my input. But in some ways, McDonald's has got a lot of truth in a fish sandwich ad. And yet the truth comes down to grief and death and loss are difficult topics that we often ignore with fish sandwiches. or we ignore with cell phones, or we ignore with work, or we ignore with life, or we ignore with everything else. In these difficult topics as Americans and Brits, seemingly, let's find something else than to talk about death and dying. And that really gets to question 3. When is the last time we talked about death or saw an ad about death? And I'm not looking for an answer specifically, because everybody's in a different situation, but ads talking about death, I don't see that. I mean, when I go to Costco, they advertise everything on their walls. And yet I had heard, and I can't verify it, so I don't know if it's true or not, they were selling caskets at discount prices. And I was heard that Costco was complaining that they were selling caskets, because that made people sad, so they pulled the caskets off the sale. Again, I heard that. I can't verify that online, but one week they were selling caskets, and the next week they weren't. And that's what I heard. So, when's the last time in our culture we thought about death? Last time in our society we thought about death. When you talk to funeral home directors, as I do in my profession, you find as society is changing, they deal with death all the time. People just want to get over with the past. People just want to move on and collect the money. Now, I'm not saying that about you or anybody else. I'm just saying in society, we see a moving on from death and not wanting to think about it. And even an advertisement picked up for that. Yeah. Jim?
I understand.
Right.
I mean, I understand
Sure.
that because, at my age, I'm knocking on the door today, but I'm saying is that, when I die, I want to go straight to the crematorium and be put in the jug and done with.
Okay.
Okay? Because I don't want, casket set up here. I don't want, I'd like people to think about the last time Jim told them a joke
I'm sure they can remember a couple times.
or just a conversation.
Sure.
Because that's why I see this. When God was trying to relate the good fish sandwich.
Right. There is something I want to move on, I want to consider, I want to think about it, and McDonald's is on point in some ways. And they're also, I think Bill said that too, they're kind of making fun of themselves. Like a fish sandwich really doesn't cure all your problems. I think McDonald's knows that. But there is, in our culture, we don't think about death all that often. And maybe when we think about our own deaths, our first thought is to move on. I don't want to make a lot of fuss for people. I want to make it simple and easy. Death is not a topic of conversation.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind people, I said, make sure that you give me 3 days before the crematorium, because I'm tied to Christ in 3 days in hell.
Oh, exactly.
So, Jim, get out of the court you want, okay?
Good luck. Today we're going to talk about what we don't often talk about, which is death is coming. Now, in a Christian church, of course, talking about death is a good thing. Last week we had a funeral, last Saturday, and it's a privilege to think about yes, we grieve, and yet someone's in heaven, right? And yet, as we're looking at this story today, there's something more, I think, to think about than death than just every time a funeral happens or something happens in your life. I think our culture has gotten too comfortable forgetting about death. And so many of us aren't prepared in our culture, aren't thinking about what needs to be ready so that when I die, yes, my final wishes are carried out, but I'm ready for that. Jesus told an interesting parable, I think, in Luke chapter 16. Before I get to the story of rich man and Lazarus, which may be familiar for us, probably in some ways is familiar, I want to give you the 5 verses right before Jesus gets into that story. I think he leads into the story of rich man and Lazarus quite forcefully. Here's how Jesus ramps up into the rich man and Lazarus story. No servant can serve 2 masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. The Pharisees, who loved money, heard all this and were sneering at Jesus. He said to them, You are the ones who justify yourselves in the eyes of men. But God knows your hearts. What is highly valued among men is detestable in God's sight. The law and the prophets were proclaimed until John. Since that time, the good news of the kingdom of God is being preached, and everyone is forcing his way into it. It is easier for heaven and earth to disappear than for the least stroke of a pen to drop out of the law. Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery, and the man who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Just for a moment, before I get to the question, what topics does Jesus bring up in the 5 verses? Again, being a preacher myself, thinking about how you present a message or talk about that, what topics does he bring up kind of rapid fire, one after another, Aaron?
The love of God and also the love of money.
Yeah, money. He goes after our biggest idol, money or God. You can't pick one, right? He goes right after that. Aaron.
Love or hate.
Yeah, right. This idea of love or hate. What do you value? Who are you going to follow? Okay? What other topic does he bring up? A couple more, Pete.
Self-justification. I don't know how else to put it.
Please keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just writing down when you were going.
Okay, well, yeah, just, that you can be right among men, but you're not right among God.
Right. No, I'm right. Doesn't matter what your truth is. It matters what my truth is. What? That's not just a millennial word. That's their culture. Yeah.
He also talks about adultery.
Yeah, adultery. And one other topic that he speaks on, again, kind of in passing, but as far as a topic that's pretty important, Kim?
The law.
Yeah. God's law is eternal. Now, if you're going to preach to people, could you pick more divisive topics? Right? If you're going to preach to people, going after their wallets, going after their values, going after their feeling of pretentiousness, going after sexual immorality, going after the fact that I don't care what the magistrate in the town says, God's law is eternal. It's not going to change. Hold on to that. Could you pick 5 more divisive topics in 5 verses? I don't think so. Jesus sets up, as he ramps into the story of rich man and Lazarus, he picks very divisive topics that he clearly says, this is right or this is wrong. And now as you think about where he's going, now question 4. I listen to sermons of local churches regularly. I'm kind of curious what other churches are doing and saying. And I hear a doctrinal race to the bottom in many places. It means instead of teaching actual doctrines, you kind of teach fuzzy concepts. You kind of teach general messages. Instead of saying the Bible says this is what Jesus says, again, you kind of give a fuzzy message. We race to the bottom and say as little as possible to offend people. Clearly they want to minimize offending anyone. That's the culture's sermons today. Compare their sermons with Jesus. Our culture doesn't want to offend people. What does Jesus do?
Puts it out there cut and dry.
Cut and dry. And if this offends you, you'd expect Jesus to spend a little bit more time on each one of these topics. But he hits them between the eyes right away.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that Jesus' intention is to offend people, but he speaks the truth, and it's just clear cut to him, and this is the truth. There's nothing else.
Absolutely. I see another hand there that probably connects with that.
He's not trying to get, people in the doors. He's trying to, have everyone in, his church, so to speak. He's going to tell you what it is.
Right. I'm entitled. Is that a hand, Abby? Yep. You cleared the shoulder. You know the rules.
He's not sugarcoating it like other churches would.
Here is somebody in love saying, you need the truth on topics personal to you. Jesus is not saying, I'm going to preach a message that kind of gets you in the door and keeps you fuzzy. No, I want you in heaven, so I'm going to preach the truth about your greatest sins. I'm going to preach the truth about sins that are in your life right now, because as he's leading into heaven or hell, right? Here are the things that are keeping you away from the kingdom of righteousness. Here are the things that aren't. And so, again, I'm just struck with his love for the sinner, and all of us, his love for the audience to say, I'm going to give you the truth so you see how much I want you in heaven. I would lie to you if I didn't tell you what's wrong with you. I would just be deceiving you if I let you carry on your sinfulness. I will speak about sins, and then I will get into this about heaven or hell. Whenever Jesus does something, it's masterful, it's wise, but he addresses sins of culture before he goes to being prepared for heaven and hell. No fuzzy, no watered down. Here's truth, because I love you, so you're ready for your death. Yep.
That topic right there, these subjects, is things that every human being, rich, poor, or in between, has to deal with throughout his life.
2,000 years later,
Yeah.
top 5 sermon series right here.
Every day, people have to deal with those things, okay? And that was one of the most wonderful things about Christ. He got right to the point, but if we stopped and really thought about what he said, that covers your entire life right there, just about.
Right.
And what you worry about, if you're a true Christian, worry about going to heaven. You can be as rich as man in the world, but if you take that and feed the people that are not rich, or help the people that are not rich, or go down to your factories in small towns and earn money,
Right.
you can get peace with God. Or if you're poor, you barely get enough money. Okay? That's what I'm saying. That's what we all deal with.
Yeah, these.
Go ahead.
No, I completely agree. Everything you're saying is true. That these are human problems that Jesus is giving divine answers to, and well, for them to listen, well, for us to. Kim.
I think like death, nobody wants to talk about it, but sin, nobody wants to talk about it. And the truth, the consequence of our sin is death. So we have to look ourselves in the mirror, see our sin, and recognize that's and what will happen because of it.
I guarantee you. Wages of sin. Yes, please.
I keep thinking this is kind of like, if you don't know what you're doing wrong, how can you correct it? Kind of reading the law and the gospel, because that's why we preach the law, so that we understand what we're doing wrong, and if we are going to help, and we're going on the gospel this way.
But you know what's coming, right? Because that's how God speaks, and that's the story of rich man and Lazarus. There's law and there's gospel. There's this gospel for this poor beggar on the side of the road, and then there's law that you don't see your sins and you just live a happy life. Yeah, this is how God communicates to us, because can I say that people ignore death and sin back then as they do today? And human nature has not changed that much. And so God is bringing this, and yet it's not just a message of you need to save yourself. It's a message of the rich man and Lazarus. He cannot be saved. But there is gospel for you that you don't repeat his mistake. It's really about the idea of the story. But I mean, there's really a lot of comfort in Jesus speaking in both ways. Getting our attention with the law, and then leaving us comforted with the gospel. Yeah.
I think he's simply telling the truth. And the truth is what sets you free. Free from what? Free from the bondage of the world. And the world telling you how you need to live. And hoping you make you get offended.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with the world.
Certainly today.
Just follow your program.
Yes. I gotta think this way, act this way, do this way. Yeah.
We were going to get a job, a house, got to have 2 cars, got to have a mortgage, got to do this, got to do that. And then the people that are really happy to, And I knew some sharecroppers that worked for my grandfather up in McMinnville. They didn't have anything. And they would sit out on the porch at they were the happiest people I've ever seen in my life. Simple.
Simple life.
They was thrilled to get recognition.
Good messages for
The
us.
bondage of the world.
Completely agree, Ken. Myron.
Of those topics, I think self-righteousness is the hardest because we all, well, we fight that. We don't, I don't, you can almost write down a lot, you can't even down a lot. So I think that's the hardest thing for a Christian or non-Christian to deal with, your mindset.
And I would say this is the wheel that all of them turn on this. And the Pharisees sneer at him for what he's doing because he's hitting at their self-righteousness. It's not just their money, their self-righteousness that I'm okay because I'm doing right so I can leave money and I can have pride and I can have all this stuff. You know, the self-righteousness is what needs destroyed. And self-righteous pride is the hardest thing to extinguish in the human heart. I'm still trying to get rid of mine, but it keeps coming back. I imagine yours is the same. And I need the cut and dry truth of God's word to show me, I kind of thought I was better there, but I'm not. I don't know the truth of how Jesus works. Let's excellent comments so far. Let's keep reading the story ahead. So Jesus sets the table with topics relevant to people's lives, and now he's getting to thinking about life and death. And just from a worldly standpoint, look at the first two verses, how he sets it up. There was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen, and lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered in sores, and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sore. Pretend you don't know the rest of the story. Who would you rather be, rich man or Lazarus?
Rich man.
Would anyone want to be Lazarus? Would anyone? I like dogs kissing my face or my hand. You want them licking your infected sores? Jesus could not set up a bigger difference. Here is what the world wants, and here is the last thing you want. Be a homeless beggar who gets medical attention for dog talk. There's nothing more despicable or pitiful. Here is the paradox he sets up right away. And as our human hearts would say, I want to be the rich man. I want to have purple. I want to have fine linen. I want to live in luxury every day. Thought question for us, how is wealth pictured today? If Jesus was going to tell the story in 2019, how will he picture wealth and luxury? I don't have the answer for that, but it is something to say, if my heart turns naturally towards the rich man, does my heart sometimes say, well, I'm not wealthy. They're wealthy, I'm not wealthy. No, we're not the sharecroppers being electricity. We may be wealthier than we imagine. All right, so our heart's leaning towards the rich man, he's got everything. Our heart's turned away from Lazarus, he's got nothing. The time came when the beggar died and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. In hell, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, Father Abraham, have pity on me, and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire. Jesus tells 19 parables in Luke. How many of them deal with death and dying? 2 out of 19, 9, or 17? I'll give you a hint. Luke is a doctor, a Gentile doctor. How many of Jesus' parables deal with death and dying?
I would guess 17.
Why would you guess that?
Because he's a doctor.
Because he's a doctor. Why else would we guess 17? You're absolutely right. I suppose Pastor put the option on the sheet, so yeah.
It's a very important topic. It's in death. I mean, death is the end of your time of grace.
Right.
It's important.
This is a doctor's perspective. This is a very important topic that we need to hear of. Yep.
I think because Jesus
talks about difficult topics, and yet every time he's bringing it back to death and dying. Every time he's telling a parable, he's bringing it back to death and dying. Every time he's saying, my message is that when you die, you have eternity waiting for you. Stop worrying so much about self-righteousness and be ready for my judgment. 17 out of 19 talk about death and dying. This is a theme, a bell that he keeps ringing again and again. Allow me to be sarcastic for a moment. Why didn't he have to say it just 7 times? Or 8 times? Why 17 times in this parable? And if you look at, I was kind of doing a look this week, because I thought, man, he seems to talk about death and dying a lot. And I love the parable. Oh my goodness. All of the other accounts as well. Why does Jesus have to speak of death and dying so often in our society, in our culture? Matthew?
I think, like, just like in Capernaum, he realizes the people's propensity to misunderstand what he's saying.
You're not listening. I'll say it again. I'll say it a different way. I'll use a story. I'll use a rich man and Lazarus. I'll use a lost sheep or a lost coin. I'll use Zacchaeus. If I'm Jesus, I'm using all these different stories to get one central message through. Be ready for your death. Why does he need to say it so often? Either we don't understand,
Don't want to listen.
or we don't want to listen. I have objectives that are focused on probably this, right? I've got these objectives right now, and I am not concerned about that. I am concerned about me, right? And there's something to this. Question number 9. A former member, when I invited them to come to a funeral and bring their children, said, I don't want to have them think about death. After all, we have sports that weekend, and I want to go to Gatlinburg the next weekend. Please don't make me think about death. Put on your pastor hat. How would you respond to this person? In a loving, evangelical, grace-filled way to the family, with children old enough to be in a funeral, to sit through a funeral, to understand a funeral. How would you respond in grace to this family, Christy?
Sarcastically.
Sarcastic grace? I
I by their former members.
Oh, but why would you say that?
Because they are not understanding why God wants us to know all of these things.
You can understand, right? You see why they left, and I'm not going to identify, I've served 4 churches, I'm not going to identify which church this person is, although I've seen this mentality in all 4. Well, that's not important. Church isn't important to me. I have all of these objectives right now. Yeah, you see why they're former? But how would you respond to them? I don't want to think about that. I got Gatlinburg, we got sports, we got this, I don't want to think about it. What would you say?
It would be helpful to point out that the clarity of the gospel message is maybe better realized at a funeral. How you do that, I don't know, but that's where I would start with me.
Good, you're on the track. What would we say to someone who says, I don't want to think about death? How do you respond with grace and favor? Are you going to die? Do you want to be happy or sad when you're dead? And I argue that a funeral service, at least one done well, is holding to the gospel, the truths of the gospel, the songs. There's lots of emotion, there's lots of tears, lots of sadness, but the comfort of the person in the pew or the preacher to say, this person's in heaven. Like, they are rejoicing with Jesus, and they have received the reward, good and faithful servant. After that's the most important sermon they're going to hear. Is that more important than Gatlinburg? Is that more important than travel this or travel that? I think sometimes in our culture, and even in our hearts, we get so busy with our objectives that we forget you're going to die. Do you want to be happy or sad when you die? And the comfort of a funeral service is that you see someone's happiness. They're in heaven. You get to share in that happiness even when they grieve. Comments, questions on number 9? Yeah, please.
It's kind of ironic when you meet somebody like that, when they don't want to deal with something happens in their lives that makes them deal with it. You know, whether it's immediate family,
Sure.
A distant relative, parent, grandparent, whatever, a lot of time, and you don't want to deal with death, it seems like pretty quickly there's a death in the family, and you have to deal with it.
I remember as a kid, and I'll confess my sin to you, having a father as a pastor, you get involved in church a lot, and you see people that come to church and people that don't come. And I remember the foolishness of my teenage years, because I would see people that wouldn't come very often, or people that, we live in a small town on South Lake, so you kind of knew a lot of people. And all of a sudden people would leave the church, and then they'd be back again. And my sarcastic teenager, well, now they need God. I've been here the whole time. I don't think I've ever been tuned up by my father more in my entire life when I had the audacity to say that out loud to him. He taught me an important lesson. Yeah, they made mistakes, Keith, and yeah, they should have been here the whole time. But if they're coming back now, if they're finally going to get their head on straight, if they have to deal with it when they've tried to ignore it, and now they're back, you roll up the red carpet for them, Keith, because they need the gospel. They don't need your sarcasm. You Pharisee. My dad was right, calling me a Pharisee. So yeah, I think that. I think sometimes if you don't want to deal with death, God will make part of that. Because death is just, we can't avoid it in our culture. And the Christian church gives us comfort that it's not the end. Thank you. Oh, I saw Ken's hand faster than Jim.
I wish they would go into a little more detail about the rich man and the beggar. Because I don't think the rich man went to hell because he was rich. And I don't think the beggar went to heaven because he was poor.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's where you have to set up. You have to see verse 13 before verse 19. Right, yeah. You see a man who chased after money, and then you see the rich man who went to hell. Then you see a man who didn't and went to heaven. So yeah, without verse 13, and I've had some people new to faith who have asked me, like, is it a sin to be poor? Because the rich man went to hell. No. Well, one man loved money, one man loved God. And this is how it turned out. Good point. Jim.
Just one experience as my child, every time we had a funeral, we would go through the procession to look at the body.
Yeah.
As children, my mother would always take my hand and put on the hand of the face of the dead person.
Yeah.
And her story was that death is just part of dying.
Okay.
What's important is the way you serve the body. Death is not a punishment.
Right.
It happens to everybody.
Happens to everybody.
And she would try to point out, that's no longer your grandfather, that's no longer your uncle, or so
Right.
he's gone to heaven now. We didn't even discuss him, because if we were old regular Baptists, we had to believe the Bible. The Bible said we never have to go to heaven.
Yeah. But the reality of how death, a culture, I mean, maybe some of you have stories. I remember when people had viewings at homes, when people had the body in state at the home, in the living room.
That's the way we were.
And that might have been a more rural thing. That might have just been my culture growing up. But I remember how much more that was. And again, I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying culture has changed from all of those things to, let's move along.
Yeah, that's the way people were. They went right to
Right.
the living room until we were.
Right? We gathered around the living room. We read some psalms. We had some cheese and sausage and crackers, and maybe a Wisconsin beverage or something. And then you went to the church and the meal and everything like that. So yeah, you had all of those realities. Please.
I had an acquaintance that he got cancer, passed away. He was like maybe 15 years old. And it was a Catholic funeral when I went. And there were lots of kids there, a whole lot, the place was packed. And the minister got up there and started going through the things this kid did wrong. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm waiting for the grace part to show up. And about the time he got to the end of the sermon, he hit the casket with his hand. And it was like a bomb off in that church. I mean, I've never seen that happen ever. Hope it was a mistake, but it didn't seem like it. And I don't know why I made a mistake, or I should have got up and walked out, but it was one of those things, just that being that young, not having an idea really what they do in their church compared to what I've been used to.
Right.
But But anyhow, it was one of those, that was the worst funeral I've ever been to in my entire life. I've never seen anything like it. I hope I never see nothing like it again.
Pastor Holtz up in Clarksville used to serve our church near Clemson University, and one of his members who passed away was the voice of Clemson football. I forget the gentleman's name. And they had the funeral service for him at the service, and they said they were kind of, I think they were in school at the time or whatever, they, like 500 people, you know, every Clemson football player or whatever. And they just opened up the hymnal, did the order of service like normal, and he said the people that about fell on the pew because of the message of grace and forgiveness. He said, "You thought I was the best preacher in the world," because they had not heard a message of grace and forgiveness, especially at a funeral. A message of what Jesus had done for this simple man. And not no big choir, no big this, no big that. The voice, I forget the guy's name. The voice of Clemson football. I just want you to sing "A Mighty Fortress Is Our God." And I just want to have scriptures read and put me in the ground somewhere. So, yeah, whatever. You recognize that difference in what you have when you go places and you don't. How do we compare heaven and hell? Heaven, by Abraham's side. Hell, torments, agony. What's the comfort he's looking for? Just a tip of cool water. I'll offer that to anybody here. I'm just going to stick my hand in the water here. Anybody want a drink of cool water? Look at that. It's actually going to stick. That's great. Did you see that? Did you see how little that is? Can you imagine being in so much agony? I'm not trying to laugh. I'm just being serious. To be in the amount of agony that this is what you pray for. Like you are that warm that you want this. So hell is a real place. There is real torment. And he was asking just, the man who lived in luxury all his days, now wants just a tip of water.
Isn't that what this whole deal is about? It's about we want ease and comfort. We don't want to face the truth. We don't want to face hardship. We don't want to face catastrophe and what's going to happen. We want ease and comfort. And that's what the world sells us. We've got to bill for everything now. You know,
And the bill came due for this gentleman. I agree. Verse 25. Abraham replied, "Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you, a great chasm has been fixed, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from there to us." How does Abraham answer the rich man's request? He wants the smallest bit of compassion, the smallest bit of grace. Please bring me a little water from heaven. How does Abraham answer?
Too late.
Too late. You got your good things, now he gets his. Abraham has zero compassion for the person who thinks bad about his life. There are no second chances in hell. Question 12. What is the comfort for us when we look at the rich and successful in the world and we feel like we are the poor beggar on the side of the road? You can love money, but this is where you enter. Comfort is that if we love the Lord, the difference is grace. I think it's important to remember we live in a world of influencers, we live in a world of societal pressure, we live in a world where people flaunt what they have and don't have. I don't have their happy life. I don't have their retirement account. I don't have their income, well, if you love that, that's what you get. But the comfort for us is even if we are a poor beggar who has medical care from Dogtown, you get into heaven if you have faith in Jesus. That is the greatest comfort of the gospel, is that Lazarus is in heaven. Verse 27. He switches up his request now. Before he asked for himself, now he thinks about his family. He answered, "Then I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so that they will not also come to this place of torment." Abraham replied, "They have Moses and the prophets. let them listen to them. Are his 5 brothers going to church? No, right? So what's the solution? How do we get him back in church? Supernatural deities coming down and telling things. Does God work that way? I mean, he can, of course. God can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. But the point of the story is that don't wait for your dead relative to come and tell you to get you out of church. The point of the story is that if they have Moses and the prophets, if they have the Word of God, that's what they need. We live in a world that's tempted to chase after money and kind of distance myself from God and his church. And then think, oh, I'll be better, I'll get a sign, I'll get back into it. No, this is not how God normally operates. He can do whatever he wants. But if they have Moses and the prophets, that will be enough. I come to church to be encouraged, to stay along, to find that strength through God's Word, so that when I die, I have lasted. Questions on this? All right, let's go to the next page, page number 3, the final bit of this section. And this is probably the most, again, if you're looking for the saddest part of the story, is verse 30 and 31. Because he's been saying no, but he's been saying no kind of nicely. Now here's the reality of what you've done. No, Father Abraham, he said. But if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent. He said to them, if they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead. Here's a deep thought question. Why does the rich man keep calling Abraham Father Abraham? If you don't know much about Jewish background, here's a hint from Luke also. Jesus said, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? Why does the man in hell call Abraham Father Abraham every time he speaks to him? Father Abraham, Father Abraham, Father Abraham. Why Father? B.
They believed that because they were descendants of Abraham, they were just automatically saved because they were the chosen people. And so they were relying on Abraham's faith to save them.
Yeah. And even more frightening, not only Abraham's faith, but my early years of faith. I had to be circumcised. I had to be presented at the temple, as Jesus was, as we see in Luke. I had to do these things. I'm relying not only on Abraham's faith, but my early faith. Right?
Or just my early ritual.
Yeah. That's what it became, right? This is my ritual that Jewish people do that's going to get me into heaven no matter what. Right? Why else does he call him Father Abraham? Grew up as a Jewish man. He's got those connections. Abraham, my father.
Because their beliefs is in the beginning.
Yeah, in the Old Testament, correct?
Who did God choose?
Yeah.
As their leader?
Yeah.
Abraham.
Right.
Abraham was chosen, taken out, and set aside with his people. And so Abraham taught everybody to live, how they should live toward God.
Yeah. He set those standards, he gave those rules. Let me take it a different way. I don't think I've set this up well. Let's change the story. Imagine it is a 2019 Christian who is the rich man. This person is a billionaire. And this person is talking to Jesus. And this person keeps saying, Jesus Christ, my Savior. Jesus Christ, my Savior. Bring me some water. Jesus Christ, my Savior. Go speak to my brothers. Jesus Christ, my Savior. Please do this. Why would he call Jesus Christ his Savior if he is already in hell? Maybe that'll help you understand what he's doing. By the looks of it, maybe not. Kim, got a guess?
Well, the story that keeps popping in my head is when somebody is calling after Jesus and said, I don't know who you are.
Right.
So he's speaking these words out of his lips, but we know he's not believing in his heart. So it's just a talking machine.
I know the words to say, but I don't believe them. I call myself a Christian, and yet I don't go to church. I do not follow through. I know what Jesus has done, and yet that's not personal or applicable for me. I call him Father Abraham, the progenitor of this whole race, the Jesus line, and yet I did not actually believe in the promises of Abraham. I call him Jesus Christ, my Savior, and yet I don't actually trust that he is my Savior. It's the scariest thing, and that's also the stories of Luke. Lord, Lord, what did we do? Go away from me, evildoers, I never knew you. That scary thing that simply having a knowledge of who Jesus is, simply relying on your childhood faith, simply going through the motions, that is not saving faith. Saving faith is trusting Jesus as a Savior, not just calling a man Father Abraham. And the irony is that even while he's in hell suffering, he still thinks he's connected with Abraham by calling him his father. Even as someone on this earth is going on the wrong path, not to heaven but to hell, they still think, well, I'm a Christian still. Speaking the words of a talking machine, they are empty. They're not words of faith. It's words of knowledge. Other thoughts on verse 30 and 31? Yes?
It kind of reminds me of the Catholics that say they're Catholic, but they're not practicing. So it's like, we're spoken about heaven, it's like, I don't have to go there or be there or do anything about it. I'm just not practicing.
Well, we could say, well, Catholics, I've got Lutherans on both sides of me. Well, we're Lutheran, but we don't go to church. Well, what kind of Lutheran is that? Right? So in all these places, I believe, but I don't do any of the commandments or anything that God asked for me. In the middle of them, remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. But I still think somehow I'm going to get in. Please, please don't be deceived. Neither did the rich man get it. Abraham.
Going back to
Matthew, not Abraham.
Going back to your opening statement about like this race to the bottom doctrine, something that I started to notice is that, and we all have a propensity to do it. Okay, I'm not saying anybody out, but we want to look for God, or I have this tendency to look for God in places, well, just about everywhere except where He said it would be. It's that, and money can take you away from that real quick.
This world leads us astray. The only place that keeps you centered is God, His Word, and His Church. Of all the things, why would you leave the thing that most wants to help you? But that's the unreasonableness of sin. Sin always thinks, if I have money, if I have this, I have that, then I will be satisfied. This man lived in luxury every day, and then begged for a little water from his finger. And it changes at the end. Yes, sir.
This topic, if you want to deal with this later. Let's divorce people that have to be concerned about. Maybe I didn't realize it was written the way it is, or it's not the way it is, for one divorced person marrying another one, or something like that. That's committing a sin. I guess that's kind of don't bother me to a certain degree, because this day and age, it's the easiest thing in the world to get a divorce.
Well, in this context, we see when Jesus speaks about divorce in other places, Matthew, Mark, etc., he's talking about unscriptural divorce. Someone gets an unscriptural divorce, and then you continue in that, and then you marry for an unscriptural reason, well, then you commit adultery. Jesus speaks similar ways in Mark 9, I can't remember. I think it's 9. He speaks in a similar way, but Luke is probably the firmest on that. And that's a big cultural shock, because I've had to tell people at various churches I've served, if you want to get an unscriptural divorce, that is your choice. But understand that in this passage applies to you. And I don't know, let's get friends after that. But I don't mean to be sarcastic to them. I'm just saying in our culture, this is not a passage read. And Jesus is trying to explain his love for marriage and for, especially in that culture, the love for the woman in this. You can't just discard women and move on to the next one. No, you made a promise to her. You have to honor that promise, etc. So, again, there's a lot more to that particular question than we have time for. But And you just see Jesus throwing out things that are just cultural, and yet he's saying, no, this is what you need to be ready for. Don't convince yourself by pleasure you can discard women to get another and continue in unscriptural activities and not have to repent. Just a really big point on verse 30. If someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent. I need my magic sign. I need my vision from God. I need my this or that. Is that how God works? And if you're waiting for that, how long will you wait? Eternity. You will wait in eternity for a special sign. Again, God, I'm not limiting God. God can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. If he wanted to show up and do a sign right now to make it a modern day Pentecost, he has that ability. But he's saying here, in his wisdom and guidance, don't be waiting for something special. You have Moses and the prophets. You have the Bible. You have church. You have this. If you want to be ready for heaven, your brothers need to go to God, not wait for God to come to him from heaven. Luke.
Well, the irony is they had those examples back then, and it still didn't make a difference. They had the examples. Some of them even saw it, even come back to life.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Elijah raising people from the dead. Those stories told 3 ages. Let's go to the discussion questions on the bottom. Agree or disagree? I think I've got time for both. Agree or disagree? People who claim faith in God but don't go to church or read their Bible will be properly prepared for the death. Heather, your thoughts?
Disagree.
What? How can you disagree? That sounds very harsh of you, Heather.
God wants you to read the Bible. God wants you to attend church. He wants you to learn about him and learn his word. That's why I'm so quiet. I try to listen to what everybody has to say.
Does God want us to be lone sheep trying to survive against wolves by ourselves? Will you be able to survive by yourself? There's wisdom in saying, I am a sheep. I need a shepherd. I need to gather in a flock for support. I need that. I cannot survive on my own. I need that comfort. Someone asked this question. People who claim faith in God but don't go to church or read their Bible will be properly prepared for the death. John?
I deal with that every day with my own self.
Yeah.
They claim they need this or that, but they don't want to go to church, or church takes you money.
Right. Yep.
They're a lot like the rich man. They're just preparing yourself for hell. They're really denying God. In other words, if you come here every Sunday and you say, I don't possibly agree with it, I should agree with it, or whatever, it don't change something. As long as I go back and study my Bible, I know that we're all working together and trying to get it done. And people that don't get involved, a lone sheep can't manage it.
Right.
Eat the first day out. That's what this whole story is about.
And the reason I ask this question is because all of us have family members who are in this. All of us have family members, friends, etc., relations who think this way. And I think the struggle we say is, well, how do I bring it up, right? How do I, without sounding like bashing them over the head, well, why do I go to church? Well, every time I go to church, I hear about sin and death. My sins, his death, right? And maybe there's a message even in outreach here. I need to go to church, so I am preparing for my death. So I am ready when the time comes so that I go to heaven. I want that. I need that. I encourage it. Don't you want to be ready for your death? Do you want to be happy or sad? A little different spin. I know all of us are at different points with those relationships. I'm not trying to say you must, but I'm thinking of a way as we come to this because we want to be ready. You have family members who are not preparing themselves. You think about them, you pray for them. Maybe that's a different tact you can try. I'm trying to get ready for my death. Getting ready for yours? Alright, and the next one. List reasons why our sinful world and our sinful heart doesn't want us to think about death. This is one of my little sarcastic questions. I get one every lesson. tried to limit myself to one. I apologize as I like to it. List reasons why our sinful world and our sinful heart doesn't want to think about death. Because where does our sinful world and heart want you to go? There's one reason, it's hell. It wants to distract you and get you chasing on everything else but the Word of God and His heaven. And so the purpose of today's lesson is to say, thank you, Lord, for the love of Lazarus. And Lord, help me that I understand which one to follow. Fight against the self-righteousness, you heard that earlier. And then the grace that the man who had nothing in this life sat by Abraham's side for eternity. And he enjoyed that. And I may not have the things in my earthly life that I want, but if I die, I get to be by Abraham's side. I get to stand before Jesus' throne. And that's better than purple and fine and luxury any day. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the grace you gave in that story to Lazarus and the stories of our lives as well. Your redemption, your freedom, and your focus of our future. Bless us that we might not only find comfort in this story, but perhaps even use this story in outreach to our friends and our neighbors and our family members to help them think about their death so that they live in eternity with us. In your Son's name,